Yo, what's up, Spaceship Maniacs? New video, SpaceX Crew Dragon. It's a model kit, it has movable parts and it's separable from the trunk. The story behind me designing this model kit is actually TJ from I Need More Space, the YouTube channel, reached out to my Discord channel. Not personally to me, but he just asked, is there anyone who can design me a very detailed Crew Dragon model? And I just immediately responded, yo TJ, it's Randy from SpaceshipMania. Of course I can. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. And now we're here with this fantastic model. It can be separated from the trunk. The nose cone can be opened to show the docking system. The doors can be opened, although it's a very tight fit. To show the inside, what you're going to do with the inside, that's on you. Maybe I will design an interior with astronauts. That might be an upgrade. But for now, we got the exterior and it's an absolute beauty. It's a 12-part model kit and you can find all the files on my Etsy store, link in the description. It includes a build manual and of course you're going to watch every minute of this video so nothing will go wrong. Now during the video, this is a prototype, so I stumbled upon a few problems during printing, during assembling, and I fixed those problems in the model. So the model you're going to download is the improved version and it's way better than this one. Now let me take you to the process of assembling and painting and all that kind of stuff. Let's enjoy the show. So I got 12 parts in total, 3 parts for the trunk and 9 for the capsule. Everything printed very well, so that's good. The trunk, I did it at a layer height of 0.2 because it's a very big part and it took so long that normally I will do it at 0.12. So everything from the capsule and then the trunk details are layer height 0.12 because that looks fantastic. But it took too long for the trunk, so I increased the layer height and you can definitely see it. It's not the best quality, but I will manage to clean it up. So first thing that we're going to do is remove all the brim and the support, clear everything up. And as you can see over here, I got unfortunately a little bit of warping at the front of the capsule and a little bit of a slide on the y-axis, I guess, but it's okay. And this part took also very long, so I'm not going to print it over again. It will do. I will fix it with using filler. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is clean everything up. Alright, so before we can assemble everything, I'm going to paint some primer on it. And I got 3 different primer types because, for example, this big boy, it's very rough. I printed it at 0.2 layer height and you can see a lot of impurities. So I'm going to use this primer, which is a very thick primer. Actually, it's more of a filler primer, which will fill most of the gaps. And this primer, you can't leave it unprocessed, so I need to sand it off after I sprayed it on. These two primers are more smooth, so I'm going to use that for the other parts which are very smooth, and I won't sand them off. Maybe some areas which are still not good enough. This big boy also there, I'm going to paint it with a gray primer, and this one as well, and the two windows. The other parts are going to be painted white, and I will probably use some filler to remove these impurities at the heat shield. And of course I will try to avoid spraying too much primer on these parts, because it needs to fit, and it's already very tight fit, so I can't make it even worse than that. So that's what we're going to do right now. So let them dry for a while, and then I'm going to apply the second layer, and some parts I'm going to turn them around so I can reach every angle. And for this part I'm also going to paint this gray, or I might not, because you won't see it, I don't know. For the people that don't know yet, I'm also making spaceship models for people that don't have a 3D printer. You can buy them on my Etsy store, I will link it in the description. They're also laying over here drying. Okay, back to the project. Alright, before I'm going to paint this silver, I'm going to apply some filler on the heat shield to make it more smooth, because I used a support over here and it's a little bit ugly. Got a little bit of warping. Not that bad, but I'm going to fix that. So while the filler is drying, I'm going to sand off the trunk using a 400 grit sandpaper, or 600, or both, I don't know, and using water so it looks absolutely smooth. And maybe because this one is very rough, you can see the layers very clearly, so I might spray a primer on it once more and sand it again, but we'll see how it looks after I sand it. So most of the lines are still visible, so I'm going to spray it again. We're not going to entirely remove all the lines, but I will do it once more, and then it will look good enough, and then we can continue with all the other parts. This one is already dry, no, not yet. Still have to wait a little bit longer. Need to wait till this one is dried because it's wet. and then I can spray paint it. And yeah, so let's just wait till these two parts are dried. Alright, this one is dried, so we can sand it off. While the trunk and the heat shield are drying, I'm going to sand off and file off the parts that I need to have a little bit more clearance, so I can fit everything together, such as the windows, the doors. Everything needs a little sand off to make sure everything fits well, because now it won't go in. So we're going to sand it off. I just noticed that actually this part should be white. This should be gray, so that's good, but this should be white. So what I'm going to do is paint another white primer on it, and then this will be white, and we'll do this by hand with a pencil, and we'll make it gunmetal color. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Now we got the heat shield painted. We can start sanding these parts over here and these parts over here, so they will fit very well. This is a very tight part. What I want to do is I want to glue these two on top of each other, but in order to do that correctly and to make sure that it's exactly how it should be and not 1 millimeter shifted, we need to glue it in place when it's assembled into the heat shield. We're not going to glue the heat shield yet, but we're going to glue the two capsule parts together. Well, it's assembled in its form, but to make sure that it has enough space to do that, we need to sand off some areas. Alright people, one tip for you guys: make sure you don't have warping, because it's ugly and I don't like it. It ruins the model. It still can be fixed, which I'm going to do using filler, but you know, over here at the RC frosters, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be not the nicest job, but for the rest. Looks good. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to apply glue over here and over here. Make sure I'm not touching the edges over here because I want to remove the heat shield after, so we can get rid of the seam, paint it again and sand it off again, and then we'll have a nice capsule. Capsule is fixed, and now we're going to apply the filler into the seam and make it look smooth. So while the capsule is drying, we're also going to apply some filler, I should say, to this area over here, which is very rough. Doesn't look very well. So. Alright, so next up we're going to sand these two parts. Make sure the seam disappears and just clear up the trunk. And I think it will look very good because the filler really filled up most of the layers. So let's go. Alright, looks like it can use another layer of filler. Alright, second layer of filler is drying. The trunk looks good, it's sufficient. You can still see it's a little bit rough, but it doesn't matter. It's going to be painted blue anyway. What we're going to do right now while we wait for the filler to dry. This guy over here needs a little bit of sanding because we spray painted white on it, so it needs to be removed a little bit. And this guy over here, which goes into the trunk like this, we're going to make sure that it will fit because the edges are still a little bit too wide. So that's what we're going to do right now. One just barely fits. It's already super tight. So that's what I'm going to improve in the model. Just make sure there's a little bit more tolerances, but in the end you will always need to sand off certain parts. But this is a little bit too much, so I'm going to solve that in the model. Right, everything seems to be good now, so I'm going to apply the last layer of paint on the trunk and the capsule, the door and the nose cone. And after that we'll do the windows, we'll make them black, and the docking port we'll paint it gunmetal. And this thing, I will leave it like that. Probably have to use a lot of violence to get it in there, but we'll see. So last layer of paint. So while this is all drying, I'm going to paint the docking systems and the windows. Alright, so half of the trunk is painted black, and now I'm going to paint the solar panels blue. Let's finish the trunk by adding the trunk connector. So before we're going to assemble everything, we need to glue the last part onto the crew capsule, and that's the hinged axle and the nose cone. Make it stick out on both sides equally, right here. take care with gluing that you don't glue into the shaft, because it still needs to turn. So you only need to glue the tips. I'll just pour it in over here. Little drop. I'm a little bit afraid it might be too much. Maybe I just have to pour in the glue over here. Just 2 drips. And that's too much already. Alright, so the hinge from the nose cone doesn't work as I intended to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to modify the model, and then I'm going to extend this part over here, the hole where the axle can go in, and the axle itself going to extend, so you have more clearance for gluing and you don't screw up the hinge like I did. It still can be used, you know, it's a tight fit, so I still can place it like this and it will stay in place. So it's not the worst mistake. Alright, so let's just continue. Now we're going to add the docking system. And you don't need glue because it's a tight fit. So you just press it in until you can't any further. Heat shield doesn't need glue either. You can do it, but you can also don't. If you don't, you can still disassemble it. The door. I won't glue the door. You can, but now I can, if I remove the door, I can push out the docking system. Is the correct? This is. And you get yourself a Crew Dragon capsule. Now for the trunk. Let's just ram this one in. I hope it doesn't break. That's it, I guess. Yes. Alright, and now it should fit. The pin should fit in this hole, but of course it does not. It does fit. Right. This is it. I don't know what's going on over here, but it should directly touch the capsule. I don't know, maybe it's not deep enough. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment. Next video we'll do the Starship Lunar Lander. This is SpaceshipMania signing out.